10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
NHRA drag racing fan and drag racing fans of all of the drag racing that is out there, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Good to be back on the show and live right here on Competition Plus, CompetitionPlus.com, Competition Plus Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the YouTube channel. By the way, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you're watching it on either Twitter or on Facebook, well, share and retweet, and let's talk about drag racing, because there is plenty to talk about in the world of drag racing, whether it's from Hot Rod Drag Week 2022 or the most recent NHRA national event, the Betway Carolina Nationals at ZMAX Dragway. A lot of twists and turns in that event. I expect my co-host Sam Smith, Slammin' Sam, to be in at any time and any moment, but we'll wait for him. You all get in that comment section. Let me know what you thought about Drag Week. Let me know what you thought about the weekend in drag racing, whether it was the NMCA, NHRA, or any other drag racing that you may know of from the weekend. We're going to take a quick break and say thank you to those that support the show and make the show possible, people like Weldon Pumps.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holley Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.
Folks, all right, we'll start with Hot Rod Drag Week, waiting on Sam Smith to get in. Scott Malpass, good to have you watching. Scott says, nice hat, Lee, great work at Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. Appreciate that, Scott. Thank you. Did not get as many stories as I wanted to get for the live stream team, but I do believe providentially was able to get some of the bigger stories, like Mike Finnegan and Blasphemy going down for the count there on Monday night. I found it fascinating. I come out of the media center at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Got this expectation, hey, I'm going to follow the route. I'm going to get the stories down the road. We're going to get to Indy. And I didn't have to go nowhere because of what had happened to Mike Finnegan and his 55 Chevrolet known as Blasphemy. And, yeah, they thrashed, figured out that after taking out another Hemi out of another car, after taking the Hemi out of the one in Blasphemy, that it wasn't all going to come together and work, and they were going to have to bow out. Then that meant traveling up the road from St. Louis to Indianapolis. I got in the motel room, had 2 videos to edit. I think I went to bed at like 3:30, 4 a.m., and got the stories in for the live stream the next day. But it was certainly a lot of work. And covering Hot Rod Drag Week from a media perspective is vastly different than any other race I have been a part of, because so often you're focused on what is on track. But that's not the case with Hot Rod Drag Week. I mean, it is, don't get me wrong, but there's just as many stories off the track as there are on the track. And it is literally a 24-hour news cycle with the Drag Week scenario. So fascinating to be out there doing that. Drag Week was spectacular. For each and every one of you that are drag racing fans, if you have not experienced Drag Week or a drag and drive, you need to do it. It is fascinating what they're doing and the guts and the glory of it all, because these guys aren't making a ton of money by winning drag week. It is for the glory of it. It is for that ability to say, I've got the fastest street car in the world. And fascinating to see how it all goes down. I also want to give a shout out here on CompetitionPlus.com and the Competition Plus Power Hour. Byron Dragway, Cordova as well, but Byron Dragway there in Illinois, they showed up and showed out for Drag Week. That place was packed. And my first visit ever to Byron Dragway, beautiful location right off of what I believe is either the Illinois or Rock River. Beautiful location, cool little town, and the drag strip, very wide. It was originally a four-wide drag strip, and you're looking down the drag strip. It looks like you're looking downhill, but in fact it's level. But way off in the distance, though noticeable, is twin cooling towers from a nuclear reactor. So you got exhaust coming off and the steam, and people are drag racing. Very cool setting for a drag strip. But they've got a big event coming up. I don't think it's this weekend, but next weekend, their whole wheel standing challenge, world wheel standing challenge that they do every year. Yeah, that's coming up at Byron. So go check that out as well. But Hot Rod Drag Week, it was certainly cool. We can talk about that a little bit more later on. I'm going to bring on my co-host, Slammin' Sam. He is in the green room, and we're going to yak it up on drag racing along with you all. Sam, what is going on, man?
Just got home from the doctor's office, so I'm going to say sorry now. I'm congested. Been under the weather the last couple of days. MIA. That's what's going on, man. Just trying to stay healthy. Stay healthy.
But that's big.
A lot. Yeah. All the tests came back negative, so I don't really know what's wrong with me. No one, the nurse, the doctor, no one really knew. So I'm just going to thank all the farmers out here in rural North Dakota where I live. Thank you for, farming your fields and harvesting your crop. And this is what happens, man. This is what happens. This is literally, man. That's all I can say. Like, I mean, there's no excuse. There's no nothing else.
The change of the season can definitely affect us as human beings in more ways than one. You might be having and dealing with the allergies issues, but the change of the season has been definitely affecting a lot of drag racers in NHRA competition as we have switched from the regular season to the countdown to the championship. Race 2 in the books.
Bro, we have not switched seasons. I think we've switched pages, not just a season. We've switched eras of dynasty. We've rolled back the red carpets and said, hold my beverage and watch this. It's pretty much what we've done in the last couple of weeks.
It has been wild for sure in the last couple of weeks, and you all had a great conversation with Kenny Koretsky and Joey Gladstone last week, and we have got, I believe, a good show lined up this week. We're going to have on the show Brian Corradi and speak with him, part of the Brain Trust over there at Antron, at AB Motorsports, Antron Brown, and the win there at ZMAX. Also, we're going to have Stevie Fast Jackson on. Looking forward to that as well. So a lot of good things to talk with those individuals. And let's start right there, Sam. Pro Mod, big shakeups in Pro Mod this weekend. And Pro Modified showed out, and the twists and turns are happening for them. And by the way, folks, you can see all the action on Monday Morning Racer. Was able to capture round-by-round action and actually interview a few of the drivers and get that on the YouTube channel at Monday Morning Racer. But Sam, wow, big at ZMAX for Pro Mod.
You've heard this before, but it's in sprint cars. It said you wanted the best, so you got the best. Right? I mean, if you've ever went to a World of Outlaw sprint cars, you hear the announcer always say you wanted the best, so now you got the best. And that's the performance that we saw out of Stevie Fast Jackson here this weekend. I mean, he went, and this isn't just Stevie. This is every racer that won this weekend across the board and in all the classes came out and had tough matchups and had moments of, okay, if you look at the ladder, and I'm a ladder watcher, whether I'm at the track or whether I'm at home. I have ladders from every race every year. I keep my sheets like I'm betting on basketball, but it's just one of those things, man. Stevie Fast he's waited his time. He's kind of set back. He hasn't been the champ. He hasn't been as loud and aggressive until pretty much Brainerd. And since then, I mean, he's put the time and the work in, and it's actually showing. And that's what it takes.
It does. And he has here with just two actually races remaining.
2 races left. Yeah.
He has said, hey, do not count me out. And Chris Thorne, I was so surprised. A red light, round 1 against Lyle, looked like a complete repeat of the U.S. Nationals final round.
Exactly.
Here in the first round, the points leader goes out early, opened the door for someone like Ricky Smith. And yes, Stevie Fast Jackson, who did go on and capitalize the most of it to gain in the points fight. I was shocked that Chris had that red light.
Well, I mean, right now, I think honestly, after what happened at the U.S. Nationals and the mojo that Lyle is bringing to the track and to each round, I think it's one of those things where you look at it and you see it. Chris Thorne has something to lose, right? He's got the target on his back. We've always talked about that. Being number one for so long, that target grows bigger and bigger. And when you're sitting at that, at that point, and you've been at that point, you continue to be number one and show yourself continuously like that. At some point, you do mess up. And if it falls at the hands right now, I think Lyle's got his card. Lyle's, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but Lyle doesn't really have that much to lose. You know what I mean? I don't want to say he's on the outside looking in, but there's more on the line for Chris, going red, leaving first round, than there would have been for Lyle to do.
I think that's an accurate estimation. Lyle, if he had went on and won the race, we might be saying, wow, he's got a way outside chance to pick up this championship. But we definitely know in that turbo machine, he can play a spoiler, and he definitely did that in round 1. And he's going to continue to do that, I expect, going into St. Louis and then this championship battle wrapping up Stampede of Speed Fall Nationals, Dallas, Texas, or Ennis, Texas, rather, Dallas, the prominent city just to the north. But we have got now a 3-way dogfight, it does seem, going into St. Louis between Stevie Fast Jackson, Ricky Smith, and Chris Thorne. And I definitely think Chris Thorne, he's got to find that mojo once again if he's going to hang on. And I will admit right here on the show, nothing against Stevie, nothing against Ricky, but I'm pulling for Chris. Chris had that accident at Indianapolis in the U.S. Nationals like 2 years ago. The program took a little while to get back together, and now it is back together with a Pro Charge, combination, and he's doing exceptionally well. And I am pulling for him to have like a redemption story win and it being in a championship. But it may very well be a situation like so many other competitors in other classes in a countdown format that we have stated it is their championship to lose. And it does seem like Chris might be having it slip from his grasp just a little bit. Not all the way, but it's slipping, and he needs to get a tight grip on it once again.
Yeah, but if you look at it, I mean, the same thing, exactly what you're saying there goes back to Lyle. I mean, if you look at this situation 5 years ago, Lyle Barnett was in the worst accident of his life. I mean, you know what I mean? He literally went from being a superhero one day to the next, few hours. No one knew if he was going to survive. Days after that, no one knew if he was going to survive. So, I mean, when you look at that, you've got the guy who's number one right now in that class. And then you look at a guy like Lyle, who at this point, I mean, he's said it, multiple times every day since, that day 5 years ago, it's pretty much been, an added blessing to him. So, I mean, when you live like that and you understand that, life still must go on and that you still have to live and conquer each one of your goals, I mean, you have to do that. And I think that's at the point he's at. I mean, why not go out there and try and win it all in the first round?
Well, folks, we're going to take a break, and Bobby Bennett is not able to join us. He's not feeling well tonight either, not well enough to come on the show. And we've got Darren Williams Jr. lined up as our insider. I have no clue what Darren's going to say, but I know he'd be willing to certainly add in a positive manner to the conversation. We're going to take a quick break, and Darren Williams Jr., American Hot Rod Entertainment, will be on the show right after this look at some great nostalgia teas from Competition Plus. All right, Darren, man, welcome to the show. Pinch hitting for Mr. Bobby Bennett here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. What say you, sir?
Well, can I first start off by saying, can we appreciate just from that commercial? At one point, Nitro Funny Car in early 2000s, we had Gary Scelzi, Scotty Cannon, John Forrest, Whit Bazemore, Ron Capps, all these characters in Nitro Funny Car. Can we just?
It was a good time.
Yes, it was. It was.
You hit it right there. Characters. I think that's the one thing we are not seeing anymore is the character, the inside. But I mean, going down the list of things we should talk about today, I think we're starting to see more characters, quote unquote, or personalities show, especially in this countdown.
Yes. Just one more thing on the Pro Mod thing, just to add to it. So don't forget too, there's also 1.5 points at Dallas. That adds to the narrative too in the final race of the season. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yes.
Why?
Darren,
No.
It's that way for everybody. It is what it is.
1.5 points.
We talked about this. We've talked about this on this show before, Lee. And Darren, I want to get your standpoint. Why are we handing out free and participation? It's participation points at that point. Why do we need to give someone? I mean, I guess it does mix it up, but I mean, at that point, why don't we just draw names out of a hat and say you know what I mean? Like there's more excitement to me to see someone draw names out of a hat or do a random number generator. Everyone gets a number, and we do a random number generator, and this number and that number run each other at that point. Like, why do the extra point?
I mean, I understand it at the U.S. Nationals because, I mean, they've done that before in the past. Like, that's not new. I just think at the end of the day, do I agree with it? Not to a certain extent, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're at least says this all the time. We're in the entertainment business. And at the end of the day, it just makes it more crazy, more dramatic to end the season that way. So I see it both ways.
I'm not a fan of the last race having 1.5 points myself. Indy, I'm fine with. It is the biggest of them all. It's had that association with it, 1.5 points or bonus points for a very long time. Go back in the 80s, and it seemed like Bob Glidden used to pick up kind of middle way of the season, go win Indy, and by that it was done because he just waxed them and had enough, and nobody could catch him. So I don't mind it in Indy. I understand, yes, entertainment value. It does definitely set up someone able to hit the long ball and nab a championship if something does happen.
Yeah.
But at least with 1.5 points, you are still having to go out there and earn them. It's not as bad as a reset. Granted, in saying that, we are in what we're in, and we're getting a great championship countdown right now, and it looks like it is going to be a fascinating one for sure. And back to your point, Darren, getting on, like, what better character during that time than Scotty Cannon coming into Funny Car with a mohawk and calling out John Force at Pomona? Like, yes!
Yes, sir. Well, just one more quick thing on the 1.5 points. The only thing I think where the 1.5 points kind of screws itself is the qualifying bonus points. Because I remember, like, 2019, it was a battle between Steve, Brittany, and Doug. Well, Doug kind of got mathematically eliminated because Steve on Brittany gained so many points in qualifying. You get those extra points in qualifying. I know this happened last year. Ron Capps gobbled up so many little points at Pomona, added an extra round on Matt Hagan. So you put this in to make it more dramatic, but if somebody goes out, dominates in qualifying, they just spread themselves right back out. So I can see it both ways, honestly.
Right. And with that being said, in NHRA drag racing, I don't think enough people, they don't look at what was accumulated over qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
You can gain considerable ground, especially if it's a tight battle, just by qualifying well. And not just qualifying well, but making sure each and every session you perform well.
Yes. Agree. Definitely agree.
No, he didn't mention, yes, Mr. Kraft, but yet Jerry Tolliver.
Oh,
yes,
Jerry
is
Tolliver.
certainly in
Jerry
there,
Tolliver.
yes.
There you go. Yes,
I
sir.
mean, there's a lot of great characters in there. I mean, we can't forget about Mr. 300 himself, Epler.
Yes, another good one.
So, I mean, yeah, that was a good time. Good time for Funny Car for sure.
We have to answer this question too, guys. Does Antron and other success in the countdown prove that the regular season is pointless? Will it cause teams to test more during the regular season?
I'll let you go first, Lee.
Pointless? Well, no. Remember, people out here in this world still want to win. Is the regular season to some degree pointless to a championship? Maybe so, but not a race-by-race basis. They ultimately want to win every race. They want to win every round. They want to perform every qualifying session. And every Wally is valuable. And to say that that's pointless and only the championship means something, and I know, Andrew, that's not necessarily a point, but that point could be made and construed, that is inaccurate, because you have people out there that they just want to win Indy. Like, at the end of the year, we're like, who won Indy and who won the championship? And there's times it's easier to remember who won Indy than who won a championship. And that's one race. So, yes, it could seem pointless, but on a race-by-race basis, no. But for the totality of the championship, man, if you hit the long ball like Antron has done here, and with some people going out early, and you have got hot at the right moment, oh yeah, it could look pointless because you got hot at the right time.
Nah, for sure. And I mean, we've seen. Oh, you can go, Sam.
No, I was just saying, well said, Lee. Well said. well said.
And I mean, we've seen other teams in the past, struggle during the regular season and come back and win the championship. Perfect point. Del Worsham was non-existent during the 2015 regular season, gets hot in the countdown, wins the championship. I mean, we've seen in other instances. But I mean, it just goes to show, going back to Pro Mod, how good it is to see a genuine head-to-head, heads-up battle for the championship. No countdown. I know there's fewer races, so it doesn't allow the teams to kind of get spread on points. But you see a genuine good points battle down to the wire. You got Tricky Ricky Smith, Chris Thorne, Stevie Fast Jackson. Stevie Fast struggled to start the whole regular season, whole season, and then it's getting a strong hot here at the end, and now it's back in it with 2 races left to go. I like seeing a genuine, bad to the bone, down to the last wire championship battle with no countdown. It's pretty good to see.
It is. I have one question for you though, Darren.
What's up?
Why are you here tonight? What was the reason? I feel like we got off track.
I have no inside information. I'm just here to hang out. I was told I was coming on, so I was like, hey, I'll just talk drag racing tonight.
Hey, tell you what, Darren, you do a good job with everything you do at Comp Plus, American Hot Rod Entertainment, but you have an inside track with the Heritage Series for the NHRA. Yes. Why don't you give us a little update? What the heck's happening there as we're looking towards Bakersfield?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, you got AA Funny Car, front engine top fuel dragster. And Funny Car, the championship is basically sewn up. Bobby Cottrell is about to win his 5th consecutive AA Funny Car championship, driving for the legend Bucky Austin and Mike O'Brien. So congratulations to them once again. We're entering the last race of the season out in Bakersfield. The 30th annual California Hot Rod Reunion is going to be a lot of fun. If you're in the Southern California area, Central California, come out to Bakersfield. It's going to be a great race. It's always a lot of good fun. We'll have AA Fuel Ultras there. I know, a lot of great teams. And then in Top Fuel Eliminator, front engine top fuel dragster, a championship battle between Tyler Hilton and Brett Williamson. Brett Williamson driving the Forever Young car, and Tyler Hilton in the Great Expectations. They're separated by just 2 rounds. 2 rounds of racing. It's 8-car field, so 3 rounds. Obviously, if Tyler wants to win this championship, Brett needs to go out early. He needs to go rounds to win the championship. But down to 2 teams, and if they do not capitalize, if Brett Williamson does not qualify and Tyler Hilton does not qualify, Adam Sorokin in the Champion Speed Shops needs to go on and win the race to win the championship. So a lot of great storylines going into the final race of the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. I'll be there.
All right.
There you go.
All right,
And
since you don't have any. Oh,
Also,
go ahead.
also, and I don't even know I should be saying this live on air because the guy who told me to kind of keep it a secret.
Oh,
but
boy.
The press release hasn't come out yet. But if you followed the Heritage Series, Tyler Hilton, Great Expectations team, rumor is they're buying a former Heritage Series champions dragster to end the season. Look out. And this driver that he's buying it from is a pretty well-known
You're
driver.
giving too much information, Darren.
Okay,
Come on, it's still a secret.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
Let me stop.
You guys, look, see, you're learning here first. You can't tell Darren a pretty cool secret because then he's just going to end up telling everyone live on air. Before the press release comes out, he's giving you the inside look.
I just said the person's dragster that they're buying is a prominent name in the Big Show as well. Just,
Hey, Sam, if Brian Loans does it on this show, I think we can give Darren a pass, okay? We can...
Stop telling all secrets, man.
That is my inside information for the show. There you go.
There you go. All right. We like that. All right, but look.
Shout out to Kroger Sucks. Yeah, man, it was cool to meet you. Sorry, I don't actually remember your real name, but I still know you as Kroger Sucks 45. Good to meet you.
Okay. I'm jealous you guys got to meet Kroger Sucks 45.
Let me preface by saying this. Everybody was coming up to Lee, not me. They were coming up to Lee. I'm going to just say that. Lee was the one that was getting noticed. I'll just say that.
It's shades, man. It's the shades.
Yeah.
All right. Since you don't have anything, I'm gonna go through like a quick, I'm gonna say 2-3 minute drill, and I just want to hit on some topics, and just kind of what you guys' reaction to it. So I'm gonna leave the main one for the last one because I'm kind of torn between it. So I want to know what you guys think because maybe you guys have a different perspective. Mike Murillo's car fire.
I saw that. It was huge.
Yes, he is big. That was big.
It was huge. Yeah.
Safety equipment, important. We've talked about this many times. Safety equipment. And I'm going to say this, and hopefully, Darren, you don't get mad. Or Lee, you don't get mad. But Mr. Nitro Everything, Travis Pastrana, who I'm talking about, Travis P., Mr. Nitro Everything. How do you guys feel about him? Like, I mean, I think that was a great deal for Alex Laughlin doing that. Bringing someone else into the sport.
Yeah.
Lee, you have a smirk on your face.
Darren, you just need to go ahead if you want to say anything.
Well, I think it's a cool deal. I mean, the dude has a huge social media following, so obviously this is just going to bring more and more eyes to the NHRA. And then we've seen from NHRA's, content, from MMR's content. I mean, Travis did a great job, but he still had trouble, obviously getting the car reversed, stuff like that. It just goes to show that these nitro cars are not easy to drive. So that just goes to show that the guys who are driving these top field dragsters, these nitro funny cars, these are some bad guys and gals behind these race cars. But Travis is, obviously has no fear jumping behind the wheel of a top field dragster. It was really cool to see. And I hope he comes back to the NHRA and makes some more laps behind that race car. That was pretty cool to see online.
But first of all, that was a good self bleep. I like that. Like you held that little pause. That was good. That was impressive. I give that to you. I have weathered all day for the entirety of the drag racing social media world, the immensity of stupidity that is out there concerning the Travis Pastrana attempts to license. And what I mean by that, Darren is absolutely correct. Great eyeballs. It's amazing what it's already done on my channel, on Facebook, and considering the YouTube channel. It is great eyeballs for the sport. It is a great look into, yes, these cars are challenging to drive, much more challenging than what people make them out to be as casual fans and people outside the sport. It's more than going in a straight line. But I am so tired of people making the dumb comments such as he doesn't belong in a fuel car, or he doesn't belong in drag racing, or just stick to two wheels, or whatever, anything of that nature and similar to it. The man got a shot. The man got a crack, just like you or I would want to get in a fuel car and see what it's like. And he probably did better than any of us would do in the situation. And I've had a lot of people who even have their license say, you know what? He did better than me my first time. I've had people with the keyboard warriors. They type in, if you can't get the car in reverse, then he shouldn't be out there. You know, it's not that easy to get these things into reverse. I've had Doug Foley, my boss. I've watched him in warm-up. He's like, oh, there it is. And I'm like, what was going on there? He's like, well, it's kind of hard to find the reverser in the air. And it's like actually easier on the track and there's load. But if anybody watching the video, the car was idling high. You need a crew member to go touch the blades and help put it in reverse and just, shut up. It's good for the sport. The man got an opportunity that you would take, that I would take, that everybody most likely would take. Well, actually, some of you wouldn't because he's actually got the guts to do it. He gets in it, and all the professionals that were there didn't wig out. They were okay to try to help this guy get down the drag strip. And then, people obviously don't know the licensing process. Like the first hit isn't about making a full pull. They clicked him off anyway. And the second time, he drove over a little bit, but he actually pedaled it. And then, interestingly enough, Aaron Brooks was holding the trigger, and Aaron clicked him off before anything would happen as far as blowing it up and hurting the car or anything. He did a good job on accounts of everybody. Oh, by the way, I've also heard people like, what's Tony Stewart doing there? Smoke. He ain't got nothing to say or put into it. Yeah, he does. He's been through all this here recently. He might remember something as a newbie going through it, but yet someone in the motorsports world knowing what they're talking about saying, hey, remember this, instead of Scott and saying what he is saying, and definitely his input is valuable, all that he's been through, but he might miss something. Tony might not. And it all comes together and helps the guy out. Gosh. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, just shut up. It's good for the sport.
Well said.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
I know. Well said.
I don't, like, give space for someone to learn. Like,
no, Lee, he's a professional. He doesn't have time to learn. No, he's supposed to stick to two. It's the same thing that people said about Tony Stewart coming into drag racing. And the only reason why more people were quote unquote okay with it is because he was marrying someone, and he was dating someone. So that was okay. Someone just coming in to get a crack at it. Everyone's jealous because it wasn't them.
Yeah. People talking about like Tony, what does he know? Like the dude's gone into 380s at over 320 miles per hour. I have the film. You can go see it on my YouTube channel. Several times I caught him at a test session. And guess what? That's it. You're actually seeing something. That you don't get to see. Like I'm like one of the only dudes that stays back for testing. Dumb me. I'm like, testing. Let me film this. And it gets only like 12,000, 1,200 views or 1,500 views. But I'm there because I'm trying to document the sport in a whole nother way that a lot of people really don't. Guess what? I've seen guys on their first attempt to license backing up a top fuel car and completely double over the front tires, and the crew guys got to go out there and correct it, and I've seen them on the second pass, can't get it reversed, I don't know how to go, just go. I mean, stuff happens when people are learning. Guess what? You got to learn. There's people that I have seen. I had a guy nearly take me out with a funny car, yet he's in national events now. I've had people, the suspension roll up, they get their license, they've won rounds in A fuel now. There's a guy out there right now. He wrecked a funny car. It happens. He's winning rounds in A fuel now too. My goodness, people, you got to have time to learn this. At least they're getting in the car. Shut up. Sit in your chair.
I'm not.
Well, I guess I need to get amped up between you two.
So, Lee, just a quick question based off one of his testing passes. And so I think it was the second hit. You mentioned that back pedal. And I know it's no point of backpedaling during a test run, but I mean, why did he get off the throttle and get back on it? Is it because he said he was going towards the wall, or what was the reason for getting back in it?
From what I could tell, overhearing Pastrana talking, and certainly this is something anybody has got to deal with, and it's something that even drivers that are used to it have got to deal with when they haven't been in the car for a while. I've heard that from Doug Foley, that you got to come up to speed to the car. Mm-hmm. And here you have an individual who's no stranger to motorsports. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it's up in the air, it's drifting. And it kept drifting probably a little bit too much. He lets out, tries to straighten it back up, and he gets back in it. And by that time, Aaron had clicked it. Mm-hmm. So cool. But he admitted, he's like, I was behind the car, and it was his second run.
Yeah.
I don't expect anybody to be up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
But see, this is what I took away from when he said that. If that was my second pass, and especially something like that, like I've never come close to driving anything like that. Right? Like, I mean, the most I've driven is a 1,000 horsepower grudge car, which that's nothing in today's society. But the fact that he can understand, because of everything else he's done in life, like, hey, the wheels are up on this thing right now. This thing is moving left and right, or whatever it's doing. The fact that his brain can, and you hear it with these drivers all the time, the run seems so fast, but yet it's so slow. The fact that his brain has been trained because of everything else he's done to understand and to process that in a split second. Like, what are you complaining about? Because I'm sorry, I would be doubled up in the wall. I mean, God forsaken it. Look what happened when I drove a hobby stock. I parked it into the wall. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've never gone left. I mean, I've always gone straight. So that was a whole nother experience for me. But the fact that his brain works in that manner with everything else he's done with drifting cars. I mean, go on YouTube and type some of the stuff that he's done going 100-mile-an-hour drifting. I mean, some of those commercials he's made, you know, in those Red Bull cars drifting under this and doing that. Like, come on. Like, the fact that you think because you're sitting behind a keyboard, or you have a little Pontiac or a little Chevy with a 350 in it, you know, shut up. Like Lee said, shut up. Like, because you can't process that. And the fact that on a second pass, the man knows this. I mean,
right.
All right.
Overall, it is good for the sport because of the eyeballs. Congratulations to the hard work for Alex Laughlin and Scott Palmer to bring it together. Alex Laughlin, again, a man that just thinks forward. And I appreciate that. We need more people thinking forward and outside the box. So it's more eyeballs on the sport. And then it's also more ears from the rest of the motorsports world hearing this drag racing thing that looks so easy is not.
Yes,
That's what we should be celebrating, both of those things.
And what you said there, I mean, getting the eyeballs and the ears out there. I think drag racing and these teams have done a phenomenal job of bringing people out, you know, using their network and saying, hey, come to the race, come check this out. Let's get you to the starting line, because now their social medias are telling the story. And you know how social media works. One person posts something, and if Darren sees it and he's like, oh, who's that? He's going to click on their name, and then the whole rabbit tunnel hole happens. So, I mean, it's good for the sport.
I'll just say this. And Rick Ware said it to Joe Costello on Sunday. He said more are coming. He said he's happy he's in the sport now, but he said more are coming. And I'm curious to see what that means. So I'm excited. He said drag racing is strong and more is coming. That made me excited when he said that.
It's the truth. All right. We can talk about this till we turn blue in the face. Next topic. And I'm pretty sure, Darren, you posted something about this. Brittany Force, I wouldn't say for the first time, but for a long time and a while, showing some true, raw, like, don't ask the question unless you want the answer. And she gave the answer, and it said, we are going to figure this blank out. What did you guys take from that?
That just goes to show, you know, the high intensity of the motion of the countdown. I mean, you win 4 races this season, 8 number 1 qualifying positions, lead the points for much of 2022, and you come into the countdown and you can only win one round of race. So obviously the frustration is setting in. But like she said in that interview, she has all the confidence in the world, and David Grubnick, Max Savage, that they'll get this thing turned around and they'll figure it out going to St. Louis. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say it's not a must win going to St. Louis, but they need to do something because they cannot dig themselves in a deeper hole going into these last 3 races of the season. So I'm really curious to see how Brittany responds out in St. Louis. We saw what she did last year, put down some great performances, some great ETs, great mile per hour. Let's see how she responds to St. Louis. It'll be a lot of fun, but obviously just the emotion of the countdown. I mean, this is what people work for all year long. This is what you work for during the regular season. All these runs, all these laps is to get to this point and to not perform in the countdown. I'm sure it has to be frustrating. Even Bob Taskett said, he was like, it just rips your heart out. I mean, they were not close to smoking the tires all weekend long, and then they go up there, blow the tires off on the starting line against Ron Capps, and he just said, "Man, it just rips your heart out." So, just goes to show. I mean, this is what the countdown is about: bringing out that emotion, that intensity, and that drama, and these drivers are feeling it. So, we'll see how they respond up in Madison, Illinois.
One, I've got to say, it's very refreshing. We have seen, as of late, Brittany show a lot more emotion across the board. We've seen it on Wes Buck's show, Drag Illustrated, with Wes Buck's show, and then certainly with this interview, she, to me, is the one that's closest to dear old dad in her interviews, and nothing wrong with that. And I just got to say, like, I don't know. She had her like designer shades on. The hair was looking good. And I really feel like it was almost a statement of confidence and not like we don't know what we're doing. It's like we know what we're doing, and therefore we're going to figure this blank out. And that is what I feel like was being conveyed, because they kind of have hit a moment for a David Grubnick tuned car. Not necessarily what happened at ZMAX, but I still think back to what happened at Maple Grove. Very strange.
Yeah.
For David Grubnick to have that incident so early. I mean, when was the last time Brittany had a big boomer? I can't really think of it. That's like the most fire, flame, and fluid coming out of a Grubnick machine that I've seen in a while.
It was last year. I was there. I have pictures of it. I'd have to go back through my pictures and look. But they had as Alan Reinhart would say, a big kablooey. And the engine went kablooey. Still don't understand really what kablooey means sometimes, but yeah.
Well, at Alan's age, it probably refers to some comic book that he used to read as a kid or something.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Captain Underpants or something said kablooey back in the day. Who knows? But going from there, what the controversy, and there's a guy in the comments that's gonna maybe chime in, and I'm kind of doing this on purpose, but the controversy going on right now about Billy Torrance and what happened. Like, we've seen this and we've toiled this mountain before. Why is everyone on the great interweb going so crazy about this?
When you got team cars, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this. When you got team cars, use it to your advantage. I mean,
but so why are you pissed off about it?
Use it to your
advantage. That's what I don't get. Both of these cars can line up next to each other and they say the same exact thing, right? We've seen it last year. Erica Enders, Jack, they're both under the same umbrella. I'm sorry, and maybe when we get Stevie on, I see him and he's in the green room, but like, is this bad? I'm sorry. If I got one car that's in it for a championship and I got another car that's on the outside looking in and has no hopes or dreams of even doing that, am I going to be like, hey, let me put you on the trailer and, and mess up your point? Or maybe I just either might not show up, or if I'm not going to do it, I'm going to click off early. I don't know. Maybe we should ask a racer for this, but I want to hear what you guys have to say too.
Well, the Erica and Jay, I'm like MMR going to say the Erica and Jack thing. I think it's like
Stevie's going crazy back there.
The Erica and Jack thing, I think is like, oh, I'm sorry, you go.
No, I'm just laughing at Stevie because he's like wiping his camera and he's laughing. He's about as red as Lee is because Lee's starting to match his hat. Lee's pissed. Lee's gonna need a fan here soon. I mean, but like all over the internet. And I saw Mike Ashley like just give it to a guy straight, kind of like Brian Loans did earlier this season. But it's like, come on, like use your damn head.
Okay, like if you're not going to race heads up, why bring us to start line at all? That's what I think about the Jag and Erica thing. When Jag like literally shuts it off down track and then says he didn't like throw in the towel. Like, I mean, it was kind of obvious. But I think in this situation, if you're not going to race heads up, don't bring us to start line at all. Like I said, if you have team cars, use it to your advantage. I go back to when Scott Coletta, and Brainerd didn't even bring the car to like shut the car off and went off the start line. I think about when Larry Minor literally at Pomona, final race of the season, Larry Minor is racing his teammate Dick LaHaye, who's in the battle for the championship. Larry Minor's ahead. Dick LaHaye smokes the tires. Larry Minor pulls the brake in the middle of the run because he doesn't see LaHaye anywhere and allows LaHaye to go around, win the race. LaHaye goes on to beat Amato in the semifinals for the championship. So, like I said, if you have team cars, use it to your advantage. But I want to hear what MMR has to say because I know he's about to go off.
Darren, 2019, Pomona, the finals. At what foot mark did John Force smoke the tires?
300 feet.
That's right. That's right. And who told you that was going to happen?
You did, and I knew it was going to happen too.
Everybody knew it was going to happen. These drivers know how to mysteriously smoke the tires. Come on, bro.
Look, the whole team thing has been going on in drag racing for a very long time. Go back to the days when there were factory teams with Ford and Dodge and others. It's been going on for a long time. I think one of the factors that no one wants to talk about and really honestly admit is, well, you didn't gripe about it when Warren Johnson did it. You didn't gripe about it when this person did it or that person did. Now you got someone that, well, for the most part, isn't liked out there by the fan base. Granted, I think they should be different. Yeah, they're not going to like it because of who did it. I mean, it's like the Empire, blowing up a planet. No one likes that. Well, maybe it needed to be blown up. I mean, I don't know. I mean, whatever they do, people are not going to like it. I think Alan Reinhart today on WFO radio with Joe Costello probably put it best. You're dealing with a team that one car is not in the championship, and it is their money. They fit the bill. They have very little to any marketing partners. It's their thing, okay? And there's no one else to please but themselves.
I'll just leave that comment out.
Okay. Well, look, we have got Stevie in the waiting room. We need to talk to our Betway Nationals, Carolina Nationals winner in Pro Modified. So, Darren, good to have you on, and we're going to let you go and handle whatever you need to on the West Coast. And y'all still have enough time over there to live it up and do your thing. And
sun's still out.
Look towards Heritage Series Racing. Folks, follow American Hot Rod Entertainment, Darren Williams Jr. for a lot of great information. And also, you plan on doing what after national events on Sundays?
Inside the NHRA. So everybody, if you just want a great place to come and give your thoughts on a national event, come over to my channel Sunday nights as we break down the national event. We go in depth, show highlights, have fun. If you have any, want to get something off your chest, come to the show and drop it. I'll show the comment on the show and we'll have some conversations. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great environment. We break down the race. It's a lot of fun. But hey, I also want to say, Dave W. and Competition Plus TV, I believe that was Larry Minor who pulled the brake in that second round matchup against Dick LaHaye. I think that was Larry Minor because I remember LaHaye, took over that bet car in '87. I'm pretty sure that was Larry Minor who pulled the brake. Just want to say that.
We gotta dive into the archives. Make sure. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, we're gonna take a break. Let Darren go and bring Mr. Stevie Fast Jackson on to the show. Huh?
Do you think he'll be able to answer the question about second tier teams? Should we bring that up with Stevie?
We're just going to take a break.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Stevie Fast Jackson, a winner again in Pro Mod.
It's a miracle. Sometimes you can accidentally win one. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing? Sorry I was late. It's been tumultuous. I just hook slid in the driveway at 80 miles an hour to get here. Bobby Bennett's the worst communicator in motorsports. I try to call him, FaceTime him, send him an email, carrier pigeon. I said, y'all's email link went to my spam folder. So I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to get on this thing? So I'm trying to get my nerd to backdoor hack into your channel. And anyways, it finally came through.
Well, sorry for that, man. So, you speaking about being busy and all that, and whipping into the shop, things of that nature. Short turnaround from ZMAX to going to St. Louis. A lot of miles there, and usually Pro Mod gets a little bit of a space, between race to race. So, what does the turnaround look like for a Pro Mod these days?
If it was a good race and you didn't tear anything up and you didn't blow all the truck tires out and none of that stuff happened, it's really easy. You just leave Charlotte and go to St. Louis. We KO'd everything in the trailer. So for us, it's been tough. We drove. We did not leave Sunday. We left. We're a little late getting out of there Monday because we celebrated a lot. But we came straight here Monday. We worked until 3:00 in the morning last night. Back at the shop at 6:30 this morning. We had to get 2 engines completely serviced, sleeved, honed, set of cylinder heads done, generators serviced in the truck and trailer, stock everything back up. And the guys literally just pulled out of here about 30 minutes ago to head to St. Louis. They're going to make it to Kentucky tonight and then head up in the morning. So it's when you tear up everything and we didn't even service the car. The car I'll do when I get there. We just had to get all the blowed up part stuff done. So when you tear up some stuff, it's a lot for us. We're not set up to tear it up and service it that fast. Our motors are pretty precision.
So for you, Stevie, over the years that I've followed you and everything you've done, in your career, you've always had the video showing how your crew works and how you guys work in the shop and the fun you guys have. But at this point in the season, like Lee said, it's so short. I mean, are you guys still having those moments, or are these those, behind the scene, those hard-nosed moments where it's like, okay, let's just get this done, let's bust it out? Or are you guys still that fun, creative team?
No, we still have fun. We if it gets too serious at this sport and you're not having fun, you're not going to be able to win. It's team chemistry is 80% of what leads you to be successful long term. Anybody can get lucky and win one race, but to be dominant, you have to have everybody rowing the boat in the same direction. So I try to make sure that when we can, we have fun. We don't get to do it when we're this busy. The spring and the fall is tough for us. Summertime, early part of the season, much more spaced out. But right now, it's all that we can do. So we don't get to have as much fun, but I make sure I schedule that in there. We're going to do some in St. Louis when we get there. And then we definitely had a lot of fun Sunday night. So the YouTube channel gets neglected. I get a lot of hate mail about the YouTube channel this time of year. We just simply haven't had time to cut and chop, edit video. I've got a lot of content to produce. We just haven't got to do as much of it. A lot of my time spent on marketing, getting dollars, and then trying to win. When you get into good air conditions and this late in the season, everybody has their package figured out. Everybody's fast, and you're going to have to be on your A game if you want to put more than a couple of rounds together. So we're in it to win it. When I'm like a shark, you start giving me a little blood in the water, and I want to eat everything. So I want to finish out season strong.
Well, you're definitely on your way to do that. I think this past victory was definitely a shot in the arm, but we just mentioned turnaround to get to the next event. Y'all had some short turnarounds at the track on Sunday. I know I went over to try to get an interview, and I believe you were in the trailer, and y'all were taking a header off and welding something up, and I'm like, now might not be the best time. So it seemed like ZMAX was a challenging event overall for Pro Mod, period.
Well, we come in, normally at most races, we got 45 minutes between runs. Sometimes scheduling doesn't work like that. So the last couple of rounds, we were in the pits for 15 to 20 minutes in between runs. And to turn a quarter-mile pro-mile car around, even if nothing's tore up, that's really tight. Before the semis, the header fell off, and I'm trying to get cords welding it up, and we're bolting stuff together, and it's hard to get the engine cool. So we're changing the oil in the engine, changing the transmission fluid, trying to get some temperature out of it. So it's really tumultuous. We prepare for it though. Like when we test, there's times that I don't even tell them ahead of time. I go through, they come pick me up. I said, all right, guys, we're on starting line in 38 minutes. Let's go do it. And we practice for it. But at the same time, you can't control what happens or breaks. The motor was dinged. I dinged the motor first round against Belushi. So we were running with it dinged all day. If you look at when I put it in the two-step in the final, like it's smoking. It's not something that's really hurting performance, but you got to babysit it when it gets like that. There's just no time to fix it. After first round, you can put a slug in probably if you catch it fast enough. After that, it's a game of attrition. You just got to hope that nothing tears up, nothing major. You know, we can put a transmission in it, or we can probably throw a third member in it, but you're not going to put pistons in between the semis and the finals. There's just no time. Part of that is why it's so hard to win. I mean, and we talked about it when we went to the semis in Indy. We were really rushed, and it affected my performance. I think Chris Thorne was 008 or 006 on the tree. I was 24, and we were the starter was literally screaming at us to crank up, and I don't even have my safety stuff on. So that was a rush deal. When we went up for Charlotte, the starter's screaming at us to crank up. And I just told Cord, I'm not going to tell you what I told Cord to tell him, but I told Cord to tell him to give me a minute. I got to put all my gloves and all my crap on. And I know they're making that TV schedule. They got that TV slot for fuel coming up. So we're rushing as hard as we can. But like, there's times when we're on the scales and they're like, you guys got 15 minutes. So quick turn's tough, and it separates the men from the boys. I'll ramble on that forever. Yeah, cut me off. I keep talking. Just cut me off.
Well, Stevie, like I said, I mean, we're talking about all this. Last time I saw you was at the U.S. Nationals. And, you know, even when you said that moments where you felt like you were rushed, you still have that mentality of against all odds, like you have that smile on your face. You do, you know, your arm, your muscle thing or whatnot. But you look at your performance here this weekend. I mean, in first round, 0.27 reaction time to an 0.27 reaction time. Obviously, you outran in the first round. Then you go up against someone who's like
Belushi, Belushi killed me in the first round. Khaled Belushi, my teammate, was 0.11 to my 27. So give him credit where it was due. He went up there and tried to blow my head off. We don't have.
I'm looking at the
thing over here.
I'm looking at the ladder here, so they have the ladder wrong.
Wrong because I got the time slip, and Belushi talked to every day we've woke up since that moment. He has let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, they have Belushi running Lyle Barnett
with NHRA.com. So
they have
talking about in Indy, or are you talking about in Charlotte?
In Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte. I ran Belushi first round. I was 24 or 27. He was 11. But anyways, I didn't mean to cut you off. I want to give my man some props.
Nope. Good. they have that wrong. But then then you go to the next round and you have a guy that, you know, one of your friends, someone that I saw, you help him with this car when he was having troubles. You know, I mean, you guys are going back and forth on Facebook with Lyle Barnett. I mean, coming into a round like that, obviously you treat him, and that is something that Lyle, you know, doesn't take kindly to. He will remember that for the rest of his life. Know him personally. But when you have, you know, rounds like this with guys like this that you're competing with, how does it feel round by round? I mean, we talk about it in Funny Car and in Top Fuel, how competitive it is. What about for you guys?
Man, Lyle's the best lever on average in our class, I think. Between him and Chris, they're really good drivers, but everyone is. 4 or 5 years ago, you had 4 or 5 guys that could really tear your head off up there. And now there's nobody that can't tear your head off up there. But when you race, I have a lot of respect for Lyle Barnett. He is going to win championships at this level. He's going to win championships at the levels further beyond this when he goes to do that. He's just getting started. He is a great driver. He's got a good team behind him. His family and my family are like family. So when you go race that guy, it's a job. I mean, I approach it as a job. You have to be perfect or you just don't get to win. Like you go run them and you say, yeah, I'm going to go 30 on the tree and run a 74. Well, that just loses. That just sucks. That's just, you're wasting money and parts. So I try to look at it like a job. There's just no other option. Lyle didn't have a good light on that run. I mean, I say that, okay. So I think he was 29 or 30. So I'm not saying he did not have a good light. Normally that'll win any round, but that's not the Lyle that normally drags up there. But with that said, I do it all the time. I was 29 in the final. It's a instant. I mean, you got to be ready. You got to be amped up enough to get it and calm enough not to screw it up. Phil Schuler told me when I first started driving these things, he said, once you light that top bulb, all you can do is screw it up. Don't screw it up. So when I go up there, I approach it like a job and I try not to screw it up. You got to be, if you can't go up there and go 20 or better in big rounds at the level of competition that we have now and the people that are driving these race cars, you're not going to win races.
Speaking of Lyle and winning races, round one, he was able to take out the points leader in Chris Thorne. Chris Thorne with a .003 red light. At that moment, does the shark in the water smell the blood and is like, I have got to get it done today?
We've been that mentality for 4 races. I think we've had the best car on average for 3 or 4 races. We've been running good and I've been driving good. We've just been on the bad side of some bad luck and some flat out good drag races. Between Ricky making my transmission not shift and making the car shut off, those 2 races, that killed us. Norwalk killed us. I had the field covered by a 10th. And when you don't win over here, when you got the field covered by a 10th, it's a tough year. But you don't see Chris Thorne make mistakes in the first round. That's why he's so dominant. And he didn't make a mistake. 003 red is not a mistake. It's just you're on the bad side of a good light. What everybody else is not paying attention to is the fact that I see that he went 946, 60 foot on that run where he went 003 red. So his car didn't perform as good this race as it has, but it was about to. So, like, there's no cushion. Like, that thing was going to go out there and run like Jose and run a 68 on that run. Well, when he goes down, I told the guys on the top and on the way back, I said, all right, you want to try to pull some voodoo shit and race for a championship? You got to do it right now. You got to win. You don't do it, you can quit talking about it. We'll all be eating fruitcake and talking about it. So at that point, it really is a job. You got to get it done. And it's still a tremendous long shot. Those guys just don't do that, round after round fail like that. And we could be perfect and still not do it. But yes, I smell blood in the water and I love it. Like all I need is just a crack in the door and I'm going to stick my big foot in it.
So a lot of questions, coming in for you about if you're going to switch tires, if you're going to do this, if you're going to do that. But what it comes down to is, you talked about your family with Lyle and everything that's going on. Both of you guys' stories are similar, having a grudge racing background and having now competing in the NHRA. And you guys bring that grudge atmosphere to it with the trash talk, the Facebook memes that go out and everything like that.
I got some really good for this week.
and I think, it's created this, controversy scene in Pro Mod that's pushed Pro Mod, up into the category. A lot of people are interested in it. They're talking about it. You guys are getting new sponsorship and everything. What does the future of Pro Mod look like? There's talks of, everyone's asking the question, what's the talks of Ricky Smith retiring? What's going to actually happen? Does the controversy of what happened in Minnesota affect Pro Mod? Like, from your standpoint, someone that's embedded into this, what does it look like?
First of all, let's address the so-called controversy in Minnesota, because I hadn't got to say nothing about this, and a bunch of people are saying a bunch of bullshit. I'm just going to tell y'all what happened, tell y'all the truth. We had a shootout where a sponsor that sponsors our series, not only that event, but the rest of our series, put on a shootout for the fans, paid a lot of money. We were going to draw pairings off of points. We didn't have enough cars that showed up to Brainerd to fill the whole shootout. The guy that sponsors the shootout said, we're going to throw in a bunch of extra money. I want some drama right before the race, and I want you guys to draw chips. And every single one of us said, that's great. There's guys that had really good matchups first round, and everyone is happy to do whatever we can do to help that sponsor get the sort of media attention that he was after. And Ricky was the only one that thought that it was crazy because I guess he thought he had somebody easy in the first round. But with that said, one horse doesn't stop a show. So we all had a vote. He was the only one that did not want to do that. He can flip out all he wants to. We did the right thing. That sponsor was thrilled how that shootout went on. The fans loved it. The chip draw every run and the flipping for lane joist. This thing had no bearing on points, zero bearing on the event outcome. It just was simply a shootout for some money in the race. And when you got a sponsor that's coming in and throwing that kind of money around just to help our class and help promote Pro Mod, and you don't do what that sponsor asks you to do, you lose that sponsor. That's just like economics 101 when it comes to drag racing. So you can call it whatever you want to. It was a great shootout. The fans loved it. At the end of the day, we're in the entertainment business. And if we're not putting on a good show for the fans, people don't buy tickets. People don't buy tickets. I can't get money to do it. To get back to your question, the future of Pro Mod at where we are is very bright. We went through a dark time for a couple of years where there's a lot of people that come in, threw a lot of weight around, got a lot of stuff made legal that shouldn't have been made legal. And it really hurt the class because of the amount of changes that we all had to do to try to adapt with that. Parity, as it's coming back together, and it's coming back together, it's really good. Still needs some adjustments. You're still going to have people gripe here and there that it's not fair, but there's nothing out of the way more than 300s, I don't think, right now. So as you get parity, people start feeling like they got a shot to win. NHRA Pro Modified. Let me go. I'm going to make something really clear to all my haters, because I got some haters out there that have been blowing me up about this streetcar thing. NHRA Pro Mod is the premier door sanctioning body. It's the premier door car racing series on the planet. It has the richest purse of any sanctioning body that does this, that actually uses clocks and trees and measures people's performance. And the reason that sometimes we struggle with car count is because there's a lot of people that are scared to death to come over and do this, because it's too hard to win. I've been racing for 20 years and I'm good at it. And I won one race in 18 months. That's tough. It's tough to go to my sponsors every week and explain to them why we suck. And we're running well. When it's this hard to win, you're going to have some problems getting cars at some events. But with that said, the future's bright. I don't want Ricky to retire. I have a lot of respect for Ricky Smith. As a competitor, he is good because he makes good decisions. He's consistent. He tests a lot, and he's very smart. He's a great driver. I would love for him to see him stay on another time. For one reason is because I need to beat him for 30 more rounds to catch up, because he's whooped me for a decade. But people like that built the sport, I have a lot of respect for those guys. When you guys see us on the racetrack going head to head and talking shit to each other, that's real. Like when I go run JR Gray, I want to kick that man's teeth down his throat. But when we pull off the racetrack, we're a family, we're a village, and we take care of each other. Somebody's got a need, we fill it. Somebody needs a crankshaft, and I got one, they get it. The rods that I won Charlotte with, I had to borrow some connecting rods from Justin Carmack. He takes them out of a motor and ships them to me the week of the race because you can't get parts right now. So, I called him and said, hey, I need some rods. He said, I don't really got a lot of rods. I said, I need enough rods to make 8 runs. There's a lot of that in our sport right now, not just in our sanctioning body, but pretty globally. Everybody's helping each other. The future's bright. Our purse is big. Our purse is good. Our sponsors are excited to be involved with it. And we have what I think is the closest tight-knit family that we've had in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Since I've been doing this, it's never been to where we can all hang out after a qualifying session, drink a beer, play cornhole together, go go-kart racing, talk shit to each other, and give the fans the show that they want on Sunday, where we're tearing each other's head off and going 0-15 and 0-16, and races are decided by 10 or 11 thousandths in a quarter-mile race, and still respect and help each other. It's a good environment right now. There's some stuff going on behind the scenes that I think is going to help bring a little bit more relevance to the deal. And I'm excited to see some of these competitors from these other sanctioning bodies come race with us. I got a lot of flack what I said last week when I said that, that everybody's scared to come race over here. Not to say that they're not good. Like some of the best door car racers in the world don't race with us. I want them to come race with us, but it's really hard and it's expensive. When we go to Texas next week, I want to try to beat some of them Texas guys up. You're going to see me wearing them out in 2 weeks about trying to come race with us. It's not personal. I want to see where they stack up, and I want to see where we stack up against them. Right now, it's pretty shiny over here.
Facts. Truth. So Stevie, last question for you from myself. Dave W. has got a good question here. We'll take it from him. Do you try and win out the year or play the ladder to get Chris early and try to cover the gap? Flat out go or do some strategy in there, man?
Man, I've done both, and I've had it work and I've had it bite me. PDRA 2015 Pro Nitrous. I purposely qualified last. Ricky qualifies first. I do it on purpose, and I got a really good car. I go out there and I shut it off at 3:30 every single time. Last race or two of the year, we're in Shreveport. I'm trying to kill him and trying to catch him. And I go out there and get what I want. I get him first round, and he goes out there and absolutely obliterates me and wins the championship. So it can go either way. If I knew I could get Chris in the first round, I would absolutely do that. And we've talked about it internally. At the end of the day, chips may just fall where they are. A lot of it's going to depend on weather and how many cars we have in St. Louis. I know with the hurricane, we're probably going to lose a couple of cars. You know, there's some southern-based cars, some Florida cars, and there's some international competitors that are affected by the ability to actually just get there. So we may not have a field. We may not have 14 or 15 cars. So with that said, I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. I would love to just everybody draw chips and say, all right, I want to run Chris first round because that's how I race. I don't want to run from him. I've never beat that man. He is good. And I'm telling you, he is good. I have raced him 4 times in NHRA competition and have never turned on a win light. And if you don't think that that's a sore spot for me, I want him, and I can beat him. But it's just like Lyle. You got to be perfect. You know, he's killing us up there. When he goes and runs me, I think I've left on him one time ever, and then like I smoked the tires and about run over the center line. So he's good, but everybody here is good. After this weekend, it breathed a breath of life into our team. We have been Cord. I don't know if y'all saw Cord's my car chief. I don't know if you saw his interview after we won, but he said on Fox, he said, you cannot continue to work this hard for this long and suck as bad as we've been sucking. And that's right. And he's right. And it just breathes some life into our team. My guys are fired up and they believe we can do it. And when I have them behind me, believing in me that we can do it, I'm going to make that thing run fast as it'll go, and I'm going to drive the wheels off of it.
So final question for me, Steve. Like you said right there, KTR, you've always had this spunk about you and just being aggressive and always knowing that you're number one. So if there's any kid out there that's looking at you as his idol or her idol and saying, you know what, I wanna be a Stevie Fast Jackson in the next 5 years, what would you tell that person right now?
Get a good job or some parents that have a lot of money and love you. In all seriousness, I get this question a lot from kids because they see the romantic side of it and they see us at the racetrack and us having fun and racing cars and big trucks and trailers, and it looks more romantic than what it is. They don't see the 100-hour weeks and the failing misery. However, I tell them all, if it's something that you love to do, and this is not just in motorsports, this is in life, if you love it, if you're passionate about it, if you will go out there and if you would do it for free, you will probably be successful at it. You got to learn how to market. You got to figure out what you're selling. A lot of folks that first get into motorsports, and I coach a lot of kids in this type of area. The first thing you got to know when you're going to go try to get sponsorship dollars is you got to know what product you're selling. And to do that, you got to know who you are because you're the product. So be yourself. Don't be afraid to look stupid and have people laugh at you and hate you because we're all pretty weird in a certain way. Tell the truth. And if you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. Don't ever, ever, ever let anybody outwork you. I can't always be the best starting line race car driver. I'm not always the best crew chief, and our car's not all the fastest, but nobody out there is going to outwork me. There's not anybody in motorsports that races that we race against or that I've ever seen that will outwork me. I will just beat them into submission just because I will not go to sleep until they do. And anything you want in life, you got to be willing to put in the hours and the time. You got to decide for yourself if the juice is worth the squeeze. But once you make that decision and decide that you want to be a Stevie Fast or a Frank Manzo or a Ricky Smith or a Todd Tutterow, don't let anybody tell you that it can't be done. Don't let people rain on your parade and say, you know how many people I've had in my life ask me when I was going to get a real job. I mean, I'm talking hundreds of people that are close to me, family members. When are you going to quit playing with cars and get a real job? Never. Because I love playing with cars. Love hanging out with my buddies on the weekends. I like punching folks in the mouth on the starting line.
Well, Stevie, you certainly can do that. Thank you for your time. Congratulations on the win, and I'm looking forward to Pro Mod at St. Louis.
Ooh, I don't know if y'all saw the weather forecast, but we got a high 71 on Friday, high 72 on Saturday, and 75 on Sunday. That is Charger weather. So it's going to be good. If you don't drag something up there for Q1 that won't run in the 60s, you are not going number one, because that's where I'm going, straight down through there.
Boom! Stevie Fast Jackson calls his shot right here.
Boom, right there. I'm not saying we'll be in the pole, but I'm saying the pole will be in the 60s.
All right. Stevie, thank you, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate all you fans that stick with us when we suck, man. Y'all hear me say that over and over again, but I mean it. When you guys support us when we're failing, know that I am not slacking up. That's not why we're failing. It's a big deal for the sponsors, companies, fans that stick with us when we suck. And we got good times coming. I am hoping that, by some miracle, we can do good in St. Louis and go to Dallas and race for it. It'd be a really great story either way. But right now, I'm just having fun. I got nothing to lose. Back's against the wall. The cannons are loaded, and I'm going to fire them.
Boom.
You're just looking forward to driving that thing back.
Oh, man. Did anybody see me stop and host the gas at John Force in the pits? I'm sure I'm going to get better. For y'all folks that don't know, because I don't know if anybody videoed it, when Cord came to work for me, I promised him that if we ever, because we sucked for a while, I said, if we ever accidentally win a race, I'm going to drive it back if it'll crank. Well, he didn't forget that. So, I noticed in the winner circle, he's got the front end off and he's backing the blower down and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? We just won. Why is he backing the blower down? Then it hits me. I'm like, oh, I got to see if this thing will crank. So I fired up. Robbie jumps on the door. We go driving around. Belushi told me, he said, please don't drive this thing back. He said, it's going to break. We got a race next week. I said, Belushi, my word's good. So we're cruising through the pits, and all the JFR guys are there. If you ever heard anybody put a screw-blown Hemi on the two-step when everything's quiet and it's not out there on the racetrack, pretty intimidating. So I kept hauling the gas until my man come out. And I want to let him know I was showing out for him. We drove her to the pits. It was pretty good. I'm sure that I'm going to get a letter about that.
If you do, please post it. If you do, please post
I will. I don't. If they can, if all silly turbo cars and pro stock cars and all that can do it, a small entry level screw blower can do it too. Mine was smoking because mine was blown up. Theirs that never smoking when they drive it back. Mine was smoking. I don't know if y'all saw that picture I posted on my Instagram story, but that was real. That hole in that piston was about that big around.
Well, man, we know you're going to smoke them at St. Louis. Keep up the good work.
We'll either smoke them or smoke my motor, but we're going to smoke something. So the fans come out and see us. So we run good in St. Louis. We won there in 2018. 2019, I had the field covered again, and I was running Ricky, beating him by 4 car lengths, and the connecting rods fell out, and he come coasting around me running like a 690. Qualified number 1 there in 20, and then the weather forecast had him cancel the race. So we run good there. I like St. Louis. It's a great facility. The folks that run that do a good job, and the fans are passionate.
Thank you, Scotty. Not Scotty, Stevie.
Hey, if you call me Scotty, as long as it's a Scotty C, I'll take it all day long. I'll be good. I'll be like, that man said, oh, Scotty.
See you, man.
Shout out to my man, Scotty. Thank y'all.
Always good to hear from Stevie, and definitely drag racing needs him and people like him, and Pro Mod has got certainly interesting going into the latter races of their season in NHRA competition. Well, look, Sam, without further ado, we're going to bring on one part of the brain trust over there at Antron Brown Motorsports, AB Motorsports, the winning crew chief in Top Fuel from the ZMAX Dragway, Betway Carolina Nationals. That's Brian Corradi, right after this commercial.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
Mr. Corradi, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. Thank you, sir, for your patience. We know we're behind schedule, but thank you for being on the show, man.
No problem. A little past my bedtime, but that's okay. I'll stay up for this.
Sam, we keep getting that. A little past the bedtime.
Yeah.
Well, I won't.
It's past my bedtime, too. But, congratulations. Last time I saw you, we were jumping and high-fiving down in Indy, and now here it is a couple of races later. You guys are doing it again. Most people are asking, does it matter what you do during the regular season versus, the quote-unquote playoffs? What are your thoughts about all of it?
Well, it matters. We always want to win. It's such a tough deal to go to a race and drag everything there. Everybody works so hard. They work the same. It doesn't matter if it's the beginning or the end of the year. So you really want to win them all, or you do the best you can. So, obviously with the reset, that gives you a chance if you stunk it up all year like we did. I would like to say that we were testing a lot of stuff, but I think we learned a lot of things that, during that test, and fortunately for us, it came together at the end of the year. It doesn't always work that way.
So, Brian, I know we can talk about Indy. I know we can talk about the win at ZMAX Dragway, but I saw you holding a pizza, and I'm very intrigued by that. So, is there a pizza making background with yourself, or you own a restaurant or something? You got the hookup for pizza? Look at me, I love pizza. Let's talk about that.
I do too. I love pizza. Yes, I have some pizza shops in Cleveland, Ohio. It's called
we're going to Cleveland.
Yep, Master Pizza. It's a favorite. It's been around a long time. So it's a family business. We had started, about 10 years ago. So, and it's worked into be, we started with one, and now we have 5 stores. Wow. My kids run it. My daughter-in-laws are in it. My wife runs part of the business itself. So I race. They make pizza. I was the backbone. I was the guy that was able to make that happen by, my kids wanted to do breakfast. I'm like, I know pizza because I did it when I was a kid. I delivered pizzas and I worked in a pizza shop at a very young age. So I felt comfortable in that. So that's why we did that.
I like it.
It's good. It's good pizza. You got to come to Norwalk so you can have it.
Right. I got to stop through Cleveland for sure. What is your favorite pizza though?
PMS. Pepperoni, mushroom, and sausage.
Okay.
That's the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very quickly. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
It does, because it's still on a menu, so it's a good seller. That's why they're on the menu. No, that's a great pizza.
Okay. Since we're asking the funny questions, the new one is pizza a sandwich?
A pizza what?
Is pizza a sandwich? I heard that this week.
No, it's not a sandwich. No. Is that what you said? A sandwich?
Yeah. Yes, a sandwich.
No, we don't.
I literally heard.
In Ohio, we don't fold it. Only in New
York. Do you add?
Make it like a sandwich.
Okay. See, it was a New York guy that said that. Do you put ranch or anything on your pizza?
Yeah. It's not a salad. It's not a salad.
It's not, you're right.
But we do put ranch. It's on the buffalo chicken pizza. We put ranch.
Only?
There's another one too. I think it's you're really testing me. My kids are going to get on me for this.
He's like, I came here to talk about drag racing, and y'all talk about pizza.
I might have to go in and make pizzas, and I'll screw this up. But there's a chart I can look at what I got to put on them.
No, I'm saying like I'll have a pepperoni pizza, or the other day, what did I have? All meat pizza, and I still put ranch on top. Maybe that's a North Dakota thing or Montana thing, but
It's a different. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't.
or
do
you
that.
dunk it in the ranch. No,
No.
you have to try it. Try it next. Okay, in Texas we will try it. We'll get some pizza and we'll try it.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm not afraid to eat pizza in other states. I eat a lot of pizza. A lot of Garafolos last weekend in Charlotte.
Well, now I know who to go to be like, where is the good pizza spots? Because I lived outside of Rochester, New York for a little while, and like pizza up there is just so good. Oh, it's so good. And I come back home to South Carolina, and it's just like nobody has good pizza. What's happened?
I know our pizza. I love it. It's good. A lot of people like it. Antron loves it. He can eat, that boy can eat a lot of pizza. And he stays thin. I don't know why, but he does.
All right, we got to stop talking about food.
Yeah,
it's late.
you're making me hungry.
I'm getting hungry.
I'm gonna go to the pizza shop and make a pizza now.
All right, so for you, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I should be sleeping. Now I'm thinking about eating. But go ahead.
All right, so the change in the seasons, you talked about it. You guys have been testing. You guys have been trying new things. We've watched it over the year. I mean, it was looking from the outside looking in earlier in the year. What was it that happened with the crew or with you guys, up in the trailer that was like, you know what, maybe it's this or maybe it's that? Was there a particular thing for you guys that just clicked and then all of a sudden it's like, here we go?
I think Denver is where it changed for us. Obviously, Denver, you need some air. There's no air. And we went up there, I think it was Q1, obviously. First run, we hit the gas. And I think it was on all 8, and I don't think the engine made 7,500 RPM. And I'm looking at Mark going, what's missing here? Well, anyways, we started looking into the blowers real hard. And maybe we had the clearances a little loose on them. And after we had left Denver, of course, this happened because anything you do in Denver, once you're behind there. There's no catching up there. We left Denver and we went through our blower program from tip to tail. And I think when we got to Sonoma, everything was back to more normal. And I think we lost sight of some of the blower aspect of this car, how much it really meant to our program and how well our engine ran or didn't run. And we were trying to make it up with other things, like compression or some lead, some fuel, this, that, and the other. And it just wasn't getting it done for us the way our old program, we were trying to look at 17, we had a lot of success in those years. And for just, whatever reason, it just wasn't working. Tune up numbers, we've tried it all. And when we left Denver, we went to Sonoma with a different mindset. We just focused on that blower. And that's it, and that's what changed our program around. We were just, me and Mark, we work well, and we don't like to hurt anything. So we look at the bearings and we're looking at, and if it goes out and makes a good run and it runs 290, 2 to half track, we feel we're making enough horsepower. We're burning enough nitro to make it work. The problem was at the step of throttle, we may have been lacking a little bit of manifold pressure, and we didn't ignore it. We just, when you run one of these cars, as long as we have, sometimes that boost sensor, that boost gauge, or that, you're looking at the boost, the manifold pressure, and, we put better rockers on it. We did a lot of things to our car since 17, and well, maybe the manifold pressure is at X because, it flows a little more. Well, let's turn it up. Well, we were turning it up and it wasn't producing anything. So we just focused on the blowers. And it's turned it around for us.
Well, focusing on the mechanical side, certainly a part of it, but the car never goes anywhere without humans touching it. What was it like through all the naysayers, everybody wondering, why is the car not performing? When will you all perform? how did you all trust and stay to the process to get to the point where it's Indy, Topeka, ZMAX, or ZMAX, Topeka, or Topeka, Indy's 3 wins now at this point, and you all are showing trusting the process was the right thing to do?
How do we keep it together? Well, a good team. Our guys stuck with us. Antron, never, he's always positive. The car would run. Was it as competitive as some of the cars out there? No. We settled with, okay, we're a mid 70 car, maybe a low 70 car right now, the way it is. We were looking at changing a few other things. And unfortunately, testing is involved with that. With sometimes you get 3 runs for a race, sometimes you get 4. We got behind in all that, and we kept it together because we know where we've been, and we know how things turn around. And then, like I said, when we went to Sonoma and Seattle, that's when it started to click for us, and we started to see the light, like where we were lacking, and we just haven't looked back. And those things happen, and they happen to good teams. The COVID, all through that COVID period, it was kind of a blur because I think the first year of COVID, we were supposed to be on our own, or it was a trial year. So it was kind of, let's just say, a blur to me, those 2 years. But, this year was like, it's on. We got to get this thing going. We got to, this is for Antron, He put his neck out to own this team, and we need to turn around. So there was a lot of pressure, obviously, and there was a lot of pressure on all crew chiefs. There's a lot of moving parts in this, and you got to count on your guys, and that's what got us through this, or to where we're at. There's a long road ahead of us. We got 4 races left. Usually we come in, we've come into the countdown in better shape, than what we were here. I think we came in here 6th, and with some confidence, and we still have confidence going forward, but there's a lot of tough competition out there. Probably some of the toughest competition I've ever seen since I've been racing.
When you speak of competition, I mean, you guys right now, and don't want to jinx anything or anything, but it seems like you guys somehow, some way, have found the missing link, or that spark to drive past that Monster Energy team. Like, how does that relate to you guys, and how does that feel in the pits for you guys? Knowing your guys are like, what, we got this. They feel confident. You guys trust your driver. You trust your partner and the tune-ups that you guys are putting in the car.
David, I'm not going to lie to you. David, his performance is outstanding. And a lot of his performance is why maybe we had taken so long to figure out our problem, trying to chase that performance. I got to, get back to doing what we did. Like me and Mark used to say all the time, we do what we do. And Antron does what he does. We figure it out. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. We race ourselves and we race the racetrack. And this year, trying to make that go 206 to the 330 and 80, 809, some of these numbers, they get in your head. And how do you do that? Got to have traction. You got to have power. So, I mean, at, where we're at now, last weekend, we just kind of raced the racetrack, and we kept doing things that we thought we needed to do to make the thing run a little better. And it was showing us that. I mean, it was great weather all day Sunday at Charlotte. I mean, you couldn't ask for better conditions.
Speaking of conditions, it looks like rolling into St. Louis, we're going to have good conditions once again. And from your perspective, how long do you think we got to wait for someone to hit that 300 mile per hour mark to the 8th mile? Is it truly out there even this year?
No, it's out there. It is, for sure. Like in Topeka, I think it was in 17, we went 299. Went 299.17 or something like that. So it's out there. If it isn't Dave, it's going to be Justin Mike Green. Those guys are really arcing right now. And, we're going to try. We're going to do some things to make it run a little better through the middle. And hopefully we can get it. St. Louis is a great racetrack. It's fast. We've had some great success there. But Dallas could be the place where you see it if the weather cooperates. And I mean, any of the races that are left this, the next 4 races, it can happen.
I've kind of said that too. I think Dallas is going to be the one. You get that extra test pass, you get that. But I said it, back in Indy. Do you think it's just going to be 300, or do you think it's going to be a 301, 302, 303? Do you think it's going to be in that?
I think it's going to be 301, 302. I think that's going to, once you, they're close. Dave is really close. Grubby, he's, and so is Mike. Mike Green's got a really good running car. And when you see it, I think we went 294 on E2 or E3 this past weekend. That's our best ET, I believe, in the 8th. And mile an hour, I think in the final we went 295. So we're still 3 mile an hour off with David. I think he went 298 somewhere recently, or 297. I just think it's a matter of time. When he gets it all right, it's going to happen. And it's going to be over for that, Well, at least you get top 10. I think they're going to have, like they used to have in the 5-second club, something like that.
So Mike Ashley wants us to ask you if you think someone can do a triple Lindy before the end of the year, whatever that is.
Only if he drives.
Oh.
You got a red light, cross the center line, and hit the wall at the same time.
Oh.
That's Mike.
Oh.
That was Pomona in 08. Or no, 07. I'm sorry, 07. The last run we made, I think he red lit, crossed the center line, and touched the wall, all in the same run. And that was the triple Indy.
That's quite an accomplishment right there.
How do you beat that?
Yeah. Mike can do it.
Mike can do it. Okay, so for you, your relationship with Mike and everything like that, how cool is that to see someone that aspires and looks up to Antron, be you guys as alliance? You guys have Justin Ashley, right on the other side of the hospitality trailer, and seeing what he's doing in the sport and bringing to the sport, and his alliance with you guys. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I'm all for that. I remember when Justin would come to the races with his dad, and he would be in the midway at the reaction timer. And that's what he did. And his goal, obviously his goal was to be the best. And he was at the time. He'd come back, he'd win them all, So to have them racing with us, and what, Mike really is responsible for some of the success that I've had, probably most of it, seeing, he's a very motivating guy, and he's that guy. When you're down, Mike's there to prop you up. Nobody better as a team owner. When he bought the team from, I think it was David Powers. Maybe it wasn't David, it was his partner. But he bought the team and brought us in because I think we lost our job. Me and Mark got let go by Roger. Mike immediately calls me. I bought a top fuel team. You and Mark are running it. What? Okay, whatever you want. So he throws us in there and he props us up. You're going to be the best. And you know what? We believed him. And we trusted that, ourselves and what we do, what we do. And we've won a lot. And a lot of it's because of Mike. I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
So take us behind the scenes a little bit into the crew chief's lounge and talk to us about Mark Oswald. I'm a Mark Oswald fan, and a lot of fans in general in drag racing, they're like, is he dead? Where is he? Like, they don't even realize he's still out there. It's very strange, and yet he is out there at a high level and doing a lot of great things. So who is Mark like, this drag racing legend that got so much done from, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now on into the 20s of a whole different century? Man, I really made him sound old there. Sorry, Mark.
Well, he will be 70 this year. So, but Mark is, when you got a question, Mark's done. It's like Ken Benny. I call Ken. Ken will tell me a story about everything that we ever want to try. Well, yeah, I did that. Let me tell you a story. Well, Mark's the same way. Mark gives you, Mark, can we make this? Mark goes back to his shop and he comes to the next race with whatever it is you want to make. And that's what he does. He goes home, goes to his shop. He's a racer. There's nobody out there that's raced probably as long as him that's still a crew chief. So that's Mark. Mark is the devil's advocate. We go back and forth, and I could just be talking out like, "What do you think of that?" And Mark's over there. It's just bouncing off Mark, and he'll come back and he'll tell me what he thinks. And that's where our successes come from, because we ain't afraid of anything to talk about anything to each other. I don't care how wild it is or how wild it isn't. That's Mark. Mark is a hardcore racer, and if he had an opportunity to drive, he would drive. So, and I believe he could do a really good job. He's like John Force. He's got John Force genes. He could jump right in there with old Force and mix it up.
So I know this question and I know the answer to it, but a lot of people, see Antron and they experience what he's like, at the rope, and when they see him on TV or they catch him joking. For the people that aren't around him a lot, is Antron always as comical and funny and high energy as people see him at the racetrack?
No. Not all the time. No, Antron, this weekend, we were sitting in a trailer and him and Brad were sitting, they were sitting on the couch, and me and Mark are just bantering back and forth, looking at videos and this and talking, and they're both laughing, looking at their phones. And I look back, I'm like, what are you guys doing? One's on TikTok, and I don't know what Brad was doing. Brad, well, I'm changing my flight info or something. And I'm like, right. And me and Mark are over here sweating bullets, getting ready for E1. Like, what do we do? And that's, Antron is just easy going. He has a lot of fun, but there's a serious side to Antron. Just like the TikTok. I think every Sunday morning, that's what gets him loose. He gets on them videos, and I don't say nothing. I just do my thing. Me and Mark do our thing. But no, that's it. AB, he has a serious side. Trust me there. But most of the time, he's AB. It's just like you said. You know him.
So, Brian, look, last question from myself to you, and we'll let you catch up to your bedtime.
Thanks.
Yeah. Here, in the interview that you had with Joe, a lot of emotion there, and thank you for that. It was refreshing. It's always refreshing for emotion to come out from anybody within the racing world, because ultimately you're all humans, and you've had to deal with things very close to you, and then you got the struggles that the team were going through. When you combine all that together, how has that changed your perception on racing and life to this date than what it might have been just a year, 2 years ago?
Very small. This is, racing is what we do. Life, the people that you're surrounded by, that's the important thing. The people that I've seen through this lifetime of racing, that's the important thing. Mike Booker, a really good friend of mine, lost his daughter this past week. That's, I'm not going to let racing get me down. We don't go out and win the championship or win the next race or anything. I'm going to go to the next race and do the best I can, because there's things in life that are way more important than racing. Racing is just something that we do to pass that time. And, that's how I look at it. Yes, I don't like to lose because I spend a lot of time doing this. But on the flip side of that coin, there's people out here that don't do what I do and don't have that, don't have the success that we've had. And so I just don't let it get me down anymore. Even when the car wasn't running well this year, I was okay with it. I was, I probably feel more for the guys that they're not making any extra in their paycheck, let's just say, or getting to the winner's circle. Life, we have a good life. This race team, it's sponsored well. Antron, for every guy on this team gets paid well. So we make a good living, and I just try not to lose sight of the things that are important, like Ken Benny, presenting him with the trophy at Indy was important because he inspired me a long time ago, to drag race. Mark Oswald being there, he taught us how to mount a body at Don Scusa's. And the Scusa's, they're in, and they took a shot on me. I was a dad. I had 2 boys, a wife, and they didn't want to hire me. And they took that shot. So those are important things in life. Racing is fun, and everything, and it's competitive, and I love the competition. But all the people that you surround yourself with every day, all my crew guys, that's more important, and seeing them win is important. But you know where I'm going with that. I'm not going to get down if we lose. I'm not going to get down. I'm not going to be, if we win, great. Good Lord. Thank you. I'm going to thank the Lord because not everybody can do that.
That's awesome. And, like I said, being in the trailer with you guys, laughing, joking, and everything else that's been said, it's always an honor and a pleasure just to be welcomed into, you guys' pits and to ask questions. But I mean, like you said, there's a few more races this season, and there's a lot of tough battles. What do you think it's going to take at the end of the day to put you guys' team in a good position?
We're going to have, we're just one round at a time. Don't make any mistakes. Got to keep close to Justin. If you can't, if we're in every final with him, we can't win. Those little bonus points count. I think there's only three runs at St. Louis, 4 runs at Dallas, and then Vegas. I'm not sure if there's 3 or 4 runs there. 1.5 at Pomona. But I mean, we got to keep the performance up, and I don't think we can look back. We're just going to do the best we can. We're not. There's no fear here. I've come into the countdown in the past years number 1. I think we did it with Courtney. We came in number 1 and fell on our butts through, probably trying too hard. We're just going to go out and race the car and do what it says to do, and try to have a good time doing it. Not sweat it too much. I just want it to work out for everybody that's involved. Antron and his wife Billy Joe. They put their lives into this, and I'm going to do the best I can while I'm here to make it work for them and enjoy it, along with the guys. And if Justin pulls it out or Brittany pulls it out, they did a great job. I mean, look at how she's performed this year. Brittany and Grubby's team, that's the team to beat this year. There's no other. And that and Justin, obviously, and he's in the points lead. We came from behind, and it could be a come from behind win, but if it's not going to sadden me if we don't, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. I think we keep racing next year. Good Lord willing, we'll have the sponsorship to do it and all the people to support us. And the health, got to have your health,
Well, Brian, Again, congratulations on the recent success, most recently there at the Betway Carolina Nationals. Thank you for the time on the show, and I'm glad I got a new pizza place to go to and check out and try some.
You can come to Norwalk. I'll make sure you get pizza. Pizza
Brian,
for
yeah, there you go. Pizza for everyone. Brian, man, thank you, and go get some
guys.
sleep.
I appreciate it. I will. I'm tired.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Always good to talk to the crew chief, Sam.
It always is, and I think, you know, like we've said many times on this show, is that they're over. I don't want to say that they're overlooked, but usually we don't get that insight from them. And someone like Brian, you know, getting the chance to meet him and just talk with him, and you know, he's one of those crew chiefs. I mean, if you stick around after the races, you know, he's out there tearing down with the team and helping out, you know, and giving the guys, you know, a little bit of grief, or, you know, he's asking questions in between rounds, you know, being in their trailer there at the U.S. Nationals, you know, just seeing the insight that and the wealth of knowledge that's passed around. I mean, that's awesome. And to hear his story with what he's done with, you know, the different teams with Mike Ashley. And it looks like Mike Ashley just, you know, commented something right here after winning 3 championships, Western Swing, Indy, and many other times facing the test of adversity and coming out on top. He's absolutely worthy. However, he's an incredible human, determined, but humble, tough, but full of love, great father, husband, grandfather, business owner, and looked at as Justin's second dad. I mean, that, you know, that kind of comment right there speaks value of the impact that he's had in multiple people's lives. And that's what it's about. Like you said, over the longevity of this, you know, lifestyle. I mean, there's some people that you meet, you know, and you're like, okay, I met that person, cool, whatever. And then there's people that you meet and you feels like, you know, they poured into you. And I think that's, you know, what Mike Ashley's saying right there is he's someone that has this knowledge and isn't afraid to share it and is very humbled about it. I mean, like I said, any crew chief that you can see that's willing to tear down and tear the canopy and is on top of the trailer or in the stacker at the end of a race weekend, I mean, that just speaks value, you know, of that person and who he is.
Definitely so. Sam, we've got about 9 minutes left before we get to 11 p.m. here on the East Coast. And the situation currently in Top Fuel points, Justin Ashley leads. Antron Brown is second, only 43 points behind. Brittany Force third, 52 points behind. Mike Salinas fourth, 54 points behind. And then the big gaps start coming apparent at the 5th position with Steve Torrance. He is 105 points back in the Top Fuel standings. Who do you think the real players are right now in Top Fuel? Though I expect the up-and-comers and spoilers are not done with in Top Fuel whatsoever.
No, and I mean, just like Brian said right there. I mean, it's round by round racing at this point, right? I mean, no matter how you look at it, no matter what. I mean, we can go back to the earlier season and you know, and we're looking at Brittany, Mike Salinas, you know, and we're saying that they're running away with it because they're winning every other weekend. Then all of a sudden Denver happens and we get Leah Pruitt to win, and things change. But I mean, the no matter what you say, Lee, no matter what anyone, keyboard warrior, you know, person who's writing an article, the top 5, whether the point difference or whatever, the top 5 are contenders, 100%. I mean, you can't sleep on anyone in the top 5 right now. I mean, and even the top 6, you can't. It's just one of those things. It's one of those days. You never know whose day on any given Sunday. You don't know whose day it's going to be, and the shakeup that can happen. You know, I mean, look at the shakeup that's happened for Antron Brown.
Right.
So, is it as clear as mud? I mean, I hate to say it that way. It's as clear as mud because those top 6 cars, any Sunday, no matter where they're at on the qualifying order, they can be number 1, they can be number 6, they can be number 14, or you know, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. But you line up and you have to know in your heart and in your gut that your crew chief has set you up with the best tune and that you're the best damn driver that's on that track at that time. And if you don't have that mentality, like Stevie Fast just said, the shark's going to come out because you can smell blood. And right now, after what Brittany said, she's smelling blood. You could, you may not have been able to see her eyes because she had her stunner shades on during that interview, but I can guarantee you she's got some fierce eyes. As Steve Torrance said in the beginning or middle of the season, you've woken a beast. Who knows? No one knows. No one knows. Any given Sunday, anyone can win.
Yes, I definitely think in Top Fuel we are not done with the shocking storylines in that class. Now, funny car, we've got another great battle heating up. Many people were saying, "Oh, Robert Hight, he's in control. He's got the wheel in his hands, and it's his to win and his to lose." And well, Ron Capps took some of that to heart that was written about the team and the situation. Goes out to Z-Max, picks up a win, capitalize on Robert Hight going out a bit early. Point standings right now, though, Robert Hight is leading the way. Ron Capps, 27 points back. That's all it is. Matt Hagan, 60 points back. John Force, 74 points back. Bob Tasca in fifth is 104 points back. And Alexis Jajoria, 6th, 129 points. J.R. Todd, 7th, 150 points back. Even to 10th, it is 229 points back right now.
Lee, do you remember earlier in the season when we were saying this is going to come down to a Robert Hight and Matt Hagan story? At the beginning of the season, that's what we were saying. Everyone was saying it.
That's what it looked like.
And then all of a sudden, that Mustang all of a sudden appeared out of nowhere, and Tasca was the hottest man in funny car. Now we're looking at Ron Capps and Robert Hight. Again.
Yeah, Ron has been a car that all year has just popped in and popped in and popped. Like, we're not done. The defending champion is still here, ladies and gentlemen.
Ron said it on an interview not too long ago. Sometimes he forgets that he owns all of this stuff until he looks up on the canopy and sees that it's Ron Capps Motorsports. When a man says something like that, man or woman, whatever you want to say, when someone says something like that, that shows how embedded they are into what they're doing. And when you erase everything else that's on the board, everything else that says on the check, everything else that says on the invoices and who, he's focused on one thing, and that's making sure his team is doing what they need to do and that he is doing his responsibility once he's strapped in that car. And he said it. On race day, he doesn't make any of these decisions. That's what his crew and that's what his team is there for. And when you're that deep into it and you love what you're doing that much, nothing's gonna change it. So Lee, in these top two nitro categories, man, it's like I said, any given Sunday.
It is.
You can't put a cap on it.
Look at the recent rise here by Miss DeJoria. Very interesting. And she's going into races that she has performed well in the past and even picked up a win last year in the countdown mode. So she may very well play spoiler. And then John Force, there in fourth, lurking. The GOAT on the prowl. I mean, goats aren't predators, but lurking.
I've got to ask this question, okay? John Force, 16-time, right? Let's just say in a couple of races, he goes a couple of rounds. Maybe Robert loses. Something happens, right? John goes a couple of rounds, right? Now it comes down to, let's just say, a race in Texas or a race in Vegas. John Force, Robert Hight meet in the final. John, let's just say 75 points out, if not more, 100 points out, whatever it may be. Does John click it off so Robert takes the title? Does Robert fold to his boss so he can get 17 to make history again? What story plays out there?
Well, there would be talk either way, but I do think if it's close enough, it would in fact be heads up. most of the time you look at the situation where something happens that there's team rules. There's pretty clear weight to one side of the discussion. Someone has a better chance to win the championship, or someone hasn't won this race and let them get that, that type of thing. And I will say this, though, Sam, for as much as everyone wants to not like the team rules, on a race day in NHRA 16-car field drag racing, you still have to beat at least 3 other non-team cars. Exception the Don Schumacher racing days, but you had the potential of racing a teammate every time. But nonetheless, most time it's just going to be one. So, okay. But I think it has to depend on who has the most weight in their favor, and I would expect it to be heads up. And very well could happen. We'll see how that transpires. So quickly, Pro Stock, they competed at ZMAX. Erica Enders still leading the way. Aaron Stanfield, 64 points behind in second. Third, Troy Coughlin Jr., 97 points behind. Greg Anderson, the first KB racing car, fourth, 109 points behind. Then it's Kyle Koretsky in fifth, 122 points behind.
The storyline is set. You see it right here. Red versus yellow. You see it right there. Red versus yellow. I mean, you can't bet. You can, but you can't. Going into Vegas for sure. You can't bet against red. How many times have we seen it play out? Lee, just like, what was that? Not this year, last year, right? You and I standing up in the grandstand, and you looked at me and you said, man, what's going to happen here? And I said, Lee, qualified last. Barely squeaked it in. I said, you can't do it. I don't know why. My gut's telling me you can't do it. Proves herself time and time again. Later in this season, and the way she's performed and the chip she's had on her shoulder, the first time she stepped on the stage this year and said, there's someone in their mom's basement writing articles and saying stuff and squeaking by and not getting that win, not getting that title last year has really put a chip on her shoulder, put a chip on her whole team, Chase, all the Freemans, and Richard Freeman and the whole crew. They want it, and Erica wants it bad.
I agree, and we're in a situation right now that I feel like with the performance that Erica has put up all year, just a few minor blemishes in a few spots. Aaron Stanfield has been there as well. That it's a situation for many competitors at this point. St. Louis is a race they have to get it done. Like, you need to make a final round appearance type of get it done if you want to continue the battle for the championship. And we may very well have somewhere in the countdown, what we might be looking for is Erica has gone out round one this year on a couple of occasions that I can recall. That may very well happen again in the countdown. And when that does happen, can a Troy Coughlin Jr., Greg Anderson, Kyle Koretsky, even Aaron, can they capitalize? That's what they need. But can they capitalize if it does, in fact, happen? I think that's what we're all looking for.
I mean, Lee, we could sit here, we could have a 2-hour show on, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? And maybe that's something we should do. I mean, maybe we should just go live and just yak it up about, well, what if this scenario or what if that scenario? Who knows? But the matter of it is like you said, you have to capitalize. You have to step up when that moment is big. Steve Fash just said it. When you smell blood, are you that first shark that's in the waters already lurking and saying, hey, you know what? The water's been warm all week, but all of a sudden I got a whiff of some cold water coming by. I mean, You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna say it like this because someone told me this. You have to be the hungriest person at that moment. Like a lion sleeps for 20-some hours a day and only hunts for 4. What are you doing in that meantime? You know what I mean? You can't be the slowest gazelle. You just got to outrun the one before, the one that's after you. You got to want it. You got to be hungry. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. And when that moment, like you said, when it comes, you have to take advantage of it. Because if you don't, you piss down your own leg. Sorry about it. Sorry, I don't know which other way to say it.
Got to be hungry at the right time. Got to get hot at the right time. A lot of ways we can frame it, but momentum is a real factor in the world of sports and even certainly in motorsports. And definitely right now, it's fascinating to see how the momentum is swinging around within the professional categories of the NHRA, the Camping World Series. I'll refrain from mentioning Pro Stock Motorcycle points because they weren't in competition this past weekend, but they will be in
That's going to be
St. Louis.
Lee, mark my words, that is going to be the most controversy and most exciting class here come the next couple weeks.
I love Pro Stock Motorcycle. It should get a whole lot more attention. Great characters, and it's always close competition. And Haymaker's about to come out in that class, I think.
Oh yeah, I think, and the reason why I say that is because one camp, and you probably know which camp I'm talking about. You haven't seen anything posted from them lately. You haven't seen, things going back and forth. It's just been performance on the track, and the way that they are performing, the way that they are riding, the options of bikes that they may have, and their whole team. Yeah, I think it's going to be a grind.
Yeah, Pro Stock Motorcycle, you don't find a 100-point marker deficit until you get to 8th. Yeah.
Grind.
Pro Stock Motorcycle. Well, man, look, as usual, a pleasure to talk with you and co-host with you here on the Competition Plus Power Hour on Tuesday night. Ladies and gentlemen, look, hit that like button. Please share. Come back and enjoy talking about drag racing with us on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. I'm Lee Kraft, the Monday Morning Racer, and next to me is
Slammin' Sam, a.k.a. Mr. Outlaw Performance ENT. Check me out, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it may be. Content is flowing. It's flowing, Lee. I'm finally back in my groove other than being sick. So I'm going to go and take another horse pill that was prescribed by the doctor. 10 days of that. Hopefully get all this sinus infection and everything out of me. And yeah, but other than that, I'm going to do like Brian said. I'm going to catch some.
Well, I'm going to do that too. Everyone out there, you get some sleep too, unless you're like on the West Coast, and get up, you lazy bum, and do some work actually. But to everybody, have a good night. Thank you for watching.